The COVID-19 pandemic has changed the face of retail in cities across the country, with small and independent businesses bearing the brunt of closures. And this winter, many have seen a drop in demand from last year. But as Paul Salmon reports, owners and even a city are doing what they can to buck the trend this holiday season.
This is my first store.
Daphne Olive's first trip back to Tabletop, her defunct gift shop in downtown D.C.
So what happened here? I mean, you started this in what, 2003?
2003, yeah. We just needed to not get to a place where we were really losing money.
The store folded back in January.
It's sad. I loved my store. I really loved my store.
But 6 miles away at the store's second location in residential Tacoma Park,
We've actually so far had a great December, like a really festive and busy December.
both stores had been bustling until COVID. Then in downtown D.C.,
the hotels and the business district both became, shadows of their former selves. It was not great because most of the people who work in D.C. commute to D.C. from somewhere else.
In some sense, your business shifts from DuPont Circle, where people are coming into work, to Tacoma Park,
right,
where people are staying home from work.
Right.
It is a little bit of a tale of two corridors, if you will.
C. Iberiana Kute, who tracks national retail trends, says Olive's experience is echoed in cities across the country. Retail rents up in residential areas,
As opposed to the parts of the city that are dependent on tourism and office workers, where they have had a little bit of a more difficult recovery story.
While domestic travel has returned, international tourism is still 30% below pre-pandemic levels. And research says more than 50% of offices in 10 major U.S. cities languish unoccupied. Among the hardest hit, downtown Chicago, where the city is trying, desperately, to fill empty storefronts. At once prime State Street, just off Chicago's magnificent mile of retail, the city has morphed a shuttered chain store into a pop-up holiday market. Micro businesses hawk their wares rent-free.
As a native Chicagoan, I've traveled downtown State Street all my life and never thought for a moment that I'd be on State Street like selling a product. Cash, card, digital.
A human resources manager for about 20 years, Andre Wilson turned his pandemic hobby, baking, into a bunt business.
So I do some really fun things with bundt cake. For instance, I have a lemon and thyme, lemon and basil, apples and olive oil.
So it's good for you, too.
It's really good for you, yeah. Don't worry about the sugar,
Wilson rents space in a commercial kitchen and sells online. But thanks to Chicago's small business storefront activation program,
Okay, I'll be here.
he's been coaxed into turning on the charm.
I'm naturally an introvert. I had to
Really?
change that and become more extroverted. I've learned things about myself that I never would have learned behind a spreadsheet, behind a laptop, working in corporate.
So the personal touch behind an artisanal bunt, or for marijuana aficionados, blunt. Plus, in this era of thinking globally, customers like Lauren Rausch get to shop locally.
I would much rather spend my money here and support people from the community, people from the Chicago area, than going to a big department store where the money's not necessarily going to come back to the community.
The city program has even turned vacant storefronts into art. Nez Garza.
The city of Chicago had a grant for artists in Lakeview and Roscoe, so that's where the money came from for this project.
So you're a government employee.
For this one, yeah.
Back in D.C., in person can mean unearthing buried treasures at Capitol Hill Books.
We just got this really great set of Ulysses S. Grant's memoirs.
And that's the one that Mark Twain got him to write.
That's exactly right.
But when COVID closed Kyle Burke's doors, how to personalize? With grab bags.
We kind of converted to an online business, and these grab bags were the main way that we were able to stay afloat.
Customers submit favorite authors or genres and a budget.
And when you go on Amazon, you're just going to get recommended the newest, latest thing. The algorithm that we have, which is our actual human employees, is just better.
Human employees who read the way most of us eat. So I plunged online for a $50 bag, mentioning Samuel R. Delaney, who writes speculative fiction. And then, offline,
None of these are in any way obvious.
Same with this one. This is Intuitionist by Colson Whitehead. It's about rival elevator inspector factions. I guarantee you a better novel about elevator factions you will not read than this one.
Today, Burke survives because he's in the right corridor, residential Capitol Hill, which benefits from work from home. But wait a minute, I asked our retail expert. Isn't physical bricks and mortar retail a bad bet given the growth of online shopping?
No, Paul, I would not say that.
Online shopping spiked to historic highs when COVID hit, Anna Kute says, but it has leveled off at about 15% of all U.S. retail.
What that tells me, Paul, is that we are actually approaching, hopefully, some sort of equilibrium in the online versus brick and mortar equation. All of the most successful retailers have figured out a way to combine both into some sort of omni-channel strategy that allows them to meet their consumer and their customer wherever they are in as convenient a manner as possible.
So, in-store experience married to online convenience. It's how all the retailers we spoke to are trying to buck this season's unmerry trend, slower sales than expected. For the PBS NewsHour, Paul Solman in Tacoma Park, Maryland, and reading about the elevator wars back home in Boston.